my name is Mav and welcome back finally to another YouTube video. It's been a while. I apologize for the little bit of an absence. I've been going really hard at work and I've had almost no time to really draw or edit videos. But I have something today that I think you guys might like, and I'm hoping so. Um, this has been a project that's been in the works for about like a year, 2 years, or at least I've been thinking about it for that long, but it's making my own tarot deck. So this specific idea for the tarot deck has been in two parts. What I'm going to show you is the first iteration that I had done of this tarot deck, and it was okay. The idea was there. It was definitely kind of unique. Or well, I would think it's unique. I don't actually know because I never really looked into to see if there was anyone else doing this kind of theme for a deck. But essentially, I was taking inspiration from my D&D campaign, and I called this first iteration Tarot of the Abyss because it was based off of demons and creatures and kind of the key elements of this area of my D&D campaign called, the Abyss. And I wanted to make a tarot deck based off of that. So it was primarily, it was a limited color palette, and it all featured these black creatures with white teeth and horns or spikes and red eyes everywhere. Red was the main color. And it was primarily, white, black, and gray. And at first, I know what the initial, just what made it really hard, because I've noticed that whenever I want to do a project that's going to have a lot of parts to it, a lot of series, is that sometimes I get really attached to a certain look on how something is, and then I want to do everything in that style because I think it looks nice. But the problem is that 9 times out of 10, it's not a style I usually work in. So that makes it a little hard to come up with new ideas or really get motivated to it because it's not natural to me, At this time in my life, I was drawing a bit more cartoony. I, some of the more prominent features of my art at the time, and still kind of now, is that I typically draw heads kind of bigger, and hands. Heads and hands, I usually draw a little bigger than what they normally are proportionally. And for this one, I don't really know what to call the specific kind of style that it was, but it wasn't something that I normally do. It's not how I usually, drew things. And I think that was, my first mistake. I think I could have done a full tarot deck, or at least some cards. I don't think I could do a full tarot deck, but I think I could have done some cards in this style had I tried to make it more easier on myself. But the main issue that I had with this first idea is that I kind of boxed myself in a little too much, and that was the problem. It's one thing to give yourself a limited color palette, and it's another thing to give yourself a theme that you have to stick to alongside a color palette, alongside a style that you're not used to working with, alongside this expectation that every card has to feature this theme and that it can't just kind of reference the theme in general. So because the theme was just demons from my D&D campaign, it really felt that in order to make that theme apparent in all of the cards, I had to feature some sort of demon in every card. And the thing with my D&D campaign is that all of these demons looked very different. Some of them looked like more different animals, some of them were just blobs, and they were really weird. But when it came to making tarot cards, I very quickly veered towards the most interesting silhouette is that of a snake. And that got boring really quickly. So here, I'm going through all the cards I have written down. I'm just kind of picking and choosing, kind of going in order, kind of not, if I have an idea for it. And you see, I have things on the side pull up so that you can see like a little closer version of it. But I had ideas, but I did not like them, if it made sense. I was kind of pushing through to really make these work, and I wasn't really enjoying it. I couldn't stick to one. The cards were basic. They were all gonna just be on this like gray background, and it was gonna be just gray background, a border, character, and that was it. And you know, I own a lot of tarot decks. I can count them right now. They're on my desk. Because I pulled them out yesterday. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have 11 tarot decks. Technically 12, but someone stole mine. But I have 11 of them. So, you know, I've seen a lot of decks, and a figure on a gray background is just not my vibe. It's not really how I want it to look. And so it was an interesting project. I was doing it during like school. It was like part of an assignment that I was doing because my teacher was fantastic. I loved his teaching style. He really pushed me in some directions that I appreciated, but I couldn't. This project it took a lot on me, and it made me kind of give up a little bit on it, if I'm being honest. But I think my main struggle was just that I feel like it was too strict of a theme, and I had never tried making tarot cards really before. I've had like attempts before, like I've had solid attempts. I can pull up a few on screen, you know. I've only done tarot cards within this one specific class that I took by that teacher, and whenever I had mentioned that, like, you know, I really like drawing tarot cards, or I really like them in general, like tarot art, he had challenged me. He'd made a couple of my assignments to be tarot cards. So I had done ones that were like based off of like fruits or like trees. Oh yeah, it was trees. I had the first instance of like this monochrome with a very bright color, which being red always. With that, I had like these 3 cards. It was like the devil, the star, like justice. I had like death in there somewhere. And that's where I really clinged on to the idea of, black, white, and red, because that's I don't know, it's a color scheme that I really like, that I really am attached to. And that's where I first got the idea of like, I really like drawing tarot cards, blah blah blah. And you know, like I said, it was interesting, it was fun, but I had never really had experience drawing a fully fleshed out tarot cards. These were all just like sketches. They were all just, you know, basic. It wasn't a fully realized theme or idea. It's not something that I could have done a whole deck about, and it's not something I tried to do a whole deck about. I mean, heck, like even my my thesis for my Bachelor's of Fine Arts was tarot cards. I can pull them up right now. I did 8 of those, and I think doing those 8 kind of helped me re-visualize the kind of like direction that I was going with my own tarot art, because you know, the ones in my thesis were very, you know, bland. Not bland in that way, because I still love them, but they also didn't have backgrounds. I'm not really good at doing backgrounds, but I feel like some of the most recognizable features of a lot of tarot cards, especially like the classic like Rider-Waite tarot cards, is that they have backgrounds, and I just didn't want to do that. So, you know, I took a step back. I didn't really think about tarot cards for a while. Granted, I graduated just a couple months ago, so really it was only just over the summer that I kind of took a step back and kind of looked at it like, do I ever want to go back to this? Do I ever want to restart it? Because I have this little folder on, you know, Procreate that was the initial like sketches of like the original like Tarot of the Abyss, which I also then later named to Tarot of the Void because someone told me that there's already a Tarot of the Abyss, and that kind of made me sad because Tarot of the Abyss is a cool name and I understand why they took it. but then it would make, like, my tarot kind of, like, weird, because mine is centered around, like, my D&D abyss. So, tomato. Tarot deck names, by the way, are really hard to come up with. I still don't have one for this, deck. I'll probably have to think about it later. I'm probably going to give it to my patrons and let them decide, or anything. I don't know. But I've had this folder on Procreate, and it's just been kind of haunting me of, you know, like, oh, here's your unfinished project. Are you ever gonna go back to it? Will you ever finish it? And I just, every time I looked at it, I saw something that had potential, but I wasn't the one to do it. You know, if that makes sense? Like this could have been an interesting idea, but I'm not the one who could execute that idea. And so I kept trying a little bit off and on, you know, like a little bit after I graduated. And so sorry for, like, the flashes. Oh my god. Just going through all of them. But over the, you know, the past couple of years, oh, by the way, this was me going back to it a couple of days ago and being like, can I redraw this? And then what I was about to say is that over the past couple of years, my style I have a lot of styles, but there's one in particular that has been developing, and it is color blocking. You've seen me do color blocking before on this channel. It's really fast for me. It's really easy for me to figure out shapes and stuff. You know, like my Animal Crossing video, that was color blocking. So I've been working up to that style for years now. I've been kind of figuring out the way that I do it, and it's really shown itself ever since I got Procreate, because that's how I paint, is color blocking. I don't really sketch too much. You know, it's how I do things. And so I had a thought when, you know, I had went back to see if, like, oh, can I redraw this first sketch and put it more in a style that I can actually do? And I had a thought, and it was just, can I color block? Like, let me just make a card. It's not going to be anything, like, specific. It's not going to be fancy or cool or whatever. But I'm just going to see what I do. I'm going to see where I go with this and see if I like it. So I had only plans to do one card. It was just the Fool, because I like going in order. It helps me, you know, keep track of, like, progress by just going down the line, going in order. But I had a lot of fun with this one, because one, it was easy. I just kind of, like, shut my brain off, and I was just drawing. And then I realized as I was going that, like, hey, you know, this didn't take me a lot of time. I really enjoyed it. And I think that even though this doesn't have, like, the theme, or, like, a really strong theme other than, like, colors and, like, abstract elements such as, like, patterns and stuff, that I really enjoyed it. And, like, if I wanted to do a whole, you know, like, a whole deck in this style, I think I might like it. And so I decided, okay, well, let me redraw my Magician. And I really liked my initial sketch for the Magician. I always thought that was, like, a really interesting concept, so I wanted to bring it back. Just, you know, redraw it in the style, because I had a couple of sketches that I really enjoyed from my initial go-through of, you know, this tarot deck. So I was gonna, like, well, let me redraw it. Let me see how I'm doing. Let me see where I've gotten so far. And this is where I kind of realized that there is a big potential. You know, like, you know, before there was, like, oh, you know, I have all these sketches, I have all these ideas, like, oh, it could work. But this was really, like, doing the Magician card and getting that to a point where I really liked it, and seeing, like, a theme or, like, a pattern that I could follow that was, like, really easy. This took me an hour. That's why the speed paint of it is, like, only, like, a minute and, like, some change. But it made me realize that this is something I could genuinely do. And I kind of just I immediately dropped into a hyperfixation about it, and I've been annoying my Instagram followers so bad with it. I almost had to burp there, I'm so sorry. But, you know, I've been going ham with this, and what I'm doing right now is, if you want to see, like, a closer-up version, you want to see all the details, you can go to my Patreon. The $3 and up tier will get to see all of the nice resolution of them. I'm probably gonna keep the tarot images on my Patreon for a while. I don't know if I will post them like publicly, like full definition. I'm obviously gonna like show, you know, these videos and stuff because I want to get it out there. But I think it would genuinely be really interesting if I am motivated, if I can get through it, that, like, it would be fun to see, I don't know, could I do a Kickstarter? Could I raise money to, like, manufacture a deck? Because I think I'd only really do that after I've gotten majority of the cards done, at least, like, the major arcana, and then just have the pips to do. But all of the images, all of the process is going to be on Patreon. I'm also gonna let my higher tiers choose what cards I do next, or any additional cards that I might do. So this is the end of the video. I've been wanting to do one about tarot for a while. I just never drew any more tarot cards. So I'm really glad that I'm getting back into it and that I'm having a lot of fun. So if you want to see the images, head to my Patreon. So sorry for the absence and lack of mentioning of it. I've just been really hard at work. It's been taking a large toll on my body, and I literally had to like call out for 2 days because I was physically so sick from working. But I want to give a huge thank you to my subscribers and a special thank you to my patrons. They include Octopus Lion, Rain, and Elliot McNeil. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you later. I have nothing else to say. Bye-bye.